Hello, guys. Welcome. Can you hear me? Am I audible, visible? All right, perfect. All right, 26 March. Hola, amigo. All right. Okay, today is the day two. Yesterday was Dart fundamentals, and today we'll be covering basic concepts in Flutter. I hope you guys are very excited for today's session as well, and I hope that you enjoyed yesterday's session. How many of you guys were there for yesterday's session? Just spam yes in the chat. Yes, me. Anything will do. I joined for first today. All right. For people who are joining in for the first time, I just want to let you know that even if you missed yesterday's or the previous day's event, there will be recordings of the whole session at GDSC LPU's YouTube channel. So you don't have to, worry about it. We'll provide you with the recordings even if you missed it. We will begin shortly. We have today we'll be discussing about basic concepts in Flutter. Shortly, like in a few minutes, we'll go through the code of conduct and then we'll begin with the session. We'll just wait for a couple of more minutes before people join. So tell me about you guys. How was your day? How was your weekend? Well, not technically a weekend because I assume that some of you had classes today. But nonetheless, how was your day? It was good. What about you? My day was good as well. What were the previous topics you covered? Okay, so on day zero we did a basic info session, and on day one we have done Dart fundamentals, and today is technically day two where we are going to be covering basic concepts in Flutter. Good, sleepy Mahir. If you're sleepy, don't worry. We'll do our best to have a very informative session, and we hope that you don't sleep midway. It was good so far, full of assignment. Yeah. Well, there has to be some work from your side so that you also get to learn side by side, right? All right. Yeah, yesterday I asked one question. So, where are you guys joining from today? Like, is there same audience installing Flutter? All right. Will I be able to understand if today is my first day? Actually, the thing is, you will get the recording of yesterday itself. So yesterday we covered a lot of Dart fundamentals, like uh, the basics of Dart. So there might be like a few things which you may not understand, but don't worry, we'll give you the recording so you can catch up on it. So there's nothing to worry as such. All right. I don't see any answers. Where are you guys from? Where are you guys joining? Mahir, if that's a good question. I think if you joined for the info session or uh, even the Dart fundamentals, I think you would be aware that Flutter can be like there's no uh, what do you say ID. You can even if you're using a Mac, you can even code Flutter apps on like Xcode. So if I'm not wrong, so I think home sweet home. That's nice. So yeah, I think you can use a lot of different IDs, but more extensive answer, like a very proper one, you can do it in the Q&A session at the end of the session if you still have any. We will begin momentarily. We'll start with the code of conduct, and then we'll move on with the session. Just give me a minute. Well, I hope you enjoyed that short video. I think there was some technical glitch. I think Suraj got disconnected, but don't worry, we'll begin shortly. Did you guys have classes today, or was it like a proper weekend for you guys? Yes, yes, no, just one. Yes, yes. Oh my god, I relate to you guys. Practical, all right. What do you prefer, online classes or going offline? Which is your preference? Offline, offline, offline. Yeah, it's understandable. Offline. Sleeping in home. Can't give up on sleep. Online, okay, interesting. Study offline, exam online. Wow. If only we could get that level of, comfort and choice. That's I would love for it to be that way. By the way, LPU's library is public. I think you need to be a student of LPU, if I'm not wrong, because there's a whole um, card system. Like you have to scan your ID card and stuff. Haven't experienced offline yet. Oh, that reminds me. Which year are you guys studying in? Is there any freshers here? Second year, first year, first, fourth sem, second year, first. So people who are in second year, have you guys never like attended offline? The question is to the second year people. No, no, like never. Oh my god, I'm so sorry for you guys. But it's okay. Hopefully, like things are opening up soon. Anyway, we have the code of conduct here, and I would like to call upon Ramanjeet to present you the code of conduct. Over to you, Ramanjeet.
Uh, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, you're audible. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. So let's start with the code of conduct. So first one would be nice, respectful, and constructive while interacting on the virtual live chats social media. Do not post anything if any adult content, rude or offensive statements. And third one would be do not advertise or promote anything. Do not spam, posting same thing again and again. Harassment of any kind is not tolerated in this event, and if you fail to follow this code of conduct, you will be blocked from interacting on the chat. If you find anything inappropriate, report to gdsc@lpu.co.in. Thank you. Now I would like to call upon the stage Shranyadi to carry on with the session.
Hello, guys. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all awake now, all those who are sleeping till now, because today you'll be actually developing in Flutter. You'll be making your first app, and all this is going to be amazing today. And yeah, before I begin, I just wanted one confirmation. Did you guys all install Flutter? Just put a yes in the chat if you have. No. Yes, no, yes. There are some no's in between. If you have still not installed Flutter, then I guess you should install it right now and listen to session more, like, because we were planning for a hands-on session, so it's preferred to have it installed. Just giving you the link. command is fine also. But how to open it? There is no setup. Yeah. If you have installed Flutter and added it to the path, it should work like the Flutter Doctor command. Till then, if there are any issues with the installation, we can take up in the end along with Q&A. If you have got your Flutter installed and in your command line, if you type Flutter Doctor and it gives you no error, then you are all set. No platform error. If it says something is not installed and it's working, it's fine. If you have not installed and studio is remaining, okay. Uh, uh, Android Studio is going to take a lot of internet if you start downloading it right now. So I would say that do install it after this session if you have not installed it yet. We'll take up the errors with installation at the end of the session. I guess that will be fine, right? Aryant, what would you suggest? Like if we go on with the installation errors, then the others might.
Um, it's fine to take it at the end because that will eat up a lot of time, and we have a bracket for 7 to 8. So it's better to go with the development, and we can take the doubts in the end as in the Q&A section.
Yeah. Then so let's get started with the session. Yes, this session is recorded for all further references. You'll get it in the YouTube channel. Flutter, yes, you can surely work with a Dartpad. Like yesterday, if you have not yet installed Flutter, I'll just show you. Suraj, we have a slide that says beautiful applications. We are repeating this every day, though. The Flutter Festival is a community-led event series where developers can join to learn fundamentals of Google technologies, including Flutter, Firebase, and Google Cloud content. And these are the things that we'll be covering in our sessions. Suraj, if you can give access to share the screen, it would be better. Yeah, I got the access as well. I'll be sharing my screen in a moment. To all those people who worked on Dartpad yesterday, how did you feel working on Dartpad to be? Dartpad is easy, yes. Even for today, you can actually work in Dartpad itself, and so that you guys won't have any problem for all those who have not installed Flutter. Just go to Dartpad, and yeah, I'm putting my screen. This is only for the people who have not installed Flutter. If you go to the link I just put up in the chat, dartpad.dev, click on new pad, click on Flutter, and then click create. You'll get some default app. Just ignore everything for now for all those who have not installed. This is the format for getting the Flutter in the Dartpad. Okay, so to all those people who have already installed Flutter, I'm going to share my Android Studio. That's the preferred ID for, according to me, for learning, for developing in Flutter. So, I hope my Android Studio is visible to you all now. This is what you get the default Android Studio to be. Right? Yeah. Then now click on new Flutter project. It will say wherever you have installed your Flutter, it will show the path. Don't change anything if you have installed Flutter, and if you have not installed Flutter, just put the path for where it is downloaded and unzipped, so that you can start working there. like if you are this is mainly used if you have installed multiple versions of Flutter in your system and you want a particular version of Flutter for a particular project, then that is why this particular feature is there. Okay, I guess my screen is not visible.
It was Sharanya. It was visible.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I was getting the error. It's not. I guess now it's visible. My whole screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is visible.
This is the part I was talking. If you have installed multiple versions and if you want to change the version, that's where this comes to use. For now, you guys can forget everything and start working on whatever version you have installed. I hope you have installed the latest version. Visual Studio is an optional development environment for using Flutter, and yeah, people use Visual Studio also. If you click on next, you can type a name of your project. Let's type it as app1. You can give any name. Project location is wherever you want to store your project. You can change the location by clicking this. I am keeping everything as default as I had configured my system to be. You can put any location wherever you want to. Make sure your project type is at application and not any of these. These are other advanced concepts and we won't be covering those in this session. Leave organization as default. All these things you don't have to worry. And platforms, like as I said, Flutter uses a single code base for Android, iOS, and web and desktop application. Right now, let's enable debugging for web as well. As I'm not using a Linux machine, I cannot use the Linux, and I don't have a Mac OS attached right now, so I won't be able to build on Mac OS. Though you can export the same code to build on these platforms as well. If you click on finish, you'll get your ready app. It will say if this directory does not exist, it will create. Then you can click on create. This will be creating a new Flutter project. If you have installed Android SDK, yes, you can work. And if you have not installed either of those, you can surely work on the Dartpad. This you can click on new pad and click on Flutter here. You can work on Visual Studio. Make sure to install the Flutter plugin. Though it will need the Android SDK for the same, so I don't think it will work without Android SDK. All the code that we'll be writing and this particular file that says the import package, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about all this. If you want, you can remove the whole code out of it and we'll be rewriting it again. So don't worry about whatever default code that has come. And yeah, this is the default project that you will get. How many of you have created the project right now? How many of you are using Android Studio and created the project? Okay, we got one response. Tried. Yeah. Okay, VS Code, no issues. It's totally up to you. Plugins are for Flutter. Just the Flutter plugin is needed. My code editor settings I may have to change the font size if you guys want it bigger. These changes you don't have to do. This is just for me doing it. Okay, I guess it just got too big. I'll keep it at maybe 20 or so that it's clearly visible for you all. Okay, it's only for the external then. Creation of new project short. I haven't yet. For creating project, just new click on new create Flutter project. Leave everything as default except for the project name and location if you want to change. And that's all. Click on finish and you'll be getting the new project. Go to editor, font, and adjust the policies. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Sometimes. Thank you, Ankur. I hope it's clearer now. Thank you, Ankur. So let's delete all the code in here and let's start making the new project. And the files that are formed in the site, let me just briefly describe. The Dart tools and the .idea, these may or may not be created when you create the project. If it's not created, don't worry, it's nothing for you. Some are basically for the customized settings that I've used in my Android Studio, and some are basically it's IDE exclusive. And even if you don't have this, like it could be unique for each and everyone, so you don't have to worry. The Android will contain the Android build files, the iOS will contain the iOS build files. The lib file folder is mainly where you'll be working. You don't worry about the testing for now. If you are, when you go for the app testing, that's when this testing will be used. The web is for web files and the Windows is for the desktop files, as I'm using a Windows platform, so it's right. And remaining all files, you don't have to worry about any of these except for pubspec.yml. You'll be working on something, not today, maybe tomorrow when you use this. Don't change anything as of now in pubspec.yml. .yml files have this indentation specific things, so don't change anything as of now. Just leave everything to default. Don't even open those files except for the main.dat. It's not show Flutter project option. If it's not showing, that shows you have not installed your Flutter plugin in here, in your Android Studio as well. I'll take up with the installation issues later on. To all those people who have successfully running this on Android Studio or VS Code, do follow. For all others, you have this Datpad. It does the same thing. For now, you can follow the Datpad. Only thing, you cannot keep your code saved in Datpad. That's why I'm not showing all the demos in here, and you cannot use custom packages also here when it comes to Datpad. So yeah, let's get started. Let's delete all the code in here and let's start writing it from scratch. For developing Flutter apps, Flutter uses the material design. Material design is a design concept, style more like, that's adapted by Google, and they use it for developing like the UI part, the main, to get the skeleton mainly. I'll also get a device emulator here. This IDEA files. IDEA files are customized files for the Android Studio that I'm using. If you are using VS Code and you do not get this, don't worry about that. It's not going to affect your project in any way. These are anyway goes off as ignored files when it comes to building. Don't delete it. Just leave it. Just ignore all the files. I'll just hide all those things. Only keep open the main.dat file that is present in the lib folder. Don't delete any other files. If the studio is creating on its own, Visual Studio or Android Studio, doesn't, yeah, .IDEA gets created by default. So don't bother it. Just ignore those files. I'll take up with the installation and creation issues at the end during the Q&A. For now, you can start using the Datpad. You can take off all the code out here. Just click on delete. Everything will go away. Which module are you talking about? You have not even written any code, so don't worry about anything. If it's showing an error in here, let it be there. We can solve all those. Keep it as okay. If you are creating a new Flutter project, I'm just showing I'm not going to create. Clicking on next. Don't click on more settings, just follow the default structure so that you can have it on. Uh, don't try to like mix up with the settings, because sometimes reversing it also is going to take a lot of time. For creating in VS Code, VS Code also has the same option, right? Or else you in VS Code you can use in the terminal Flutter create and the app name in wherever destination you want to, and you can right click open it in VS Code. I'm getting an emulator also running right now, so that you can see the live output whenever I click on save. Okay, the emulator will open on its own. If if you're not using an emulator, you can use your physical device debugging just connected to your laptop. That's all. Have the emulator also running. So, as I said, the material design is a design principle that's adapted for developing the skeleton of the app mainly, and you can actually create beautiful apps, and that's where it gets started. So, we are going to import that particular part. If you type import, it's actually automatically going to suggest. You don't have to type the whole thing, just type MA, and it's going to suggest you the package flutter material.dart. And if I click on save, this whole thing will go. The reason is it's an unused import, and the Android Studio, the latest version, if you have installed, it removes the unused imports out of your files. So that it reduces number of lines of code, and it also avoids confusion, like why have I written this if I have not used this, all these, to avoid all this confusion. This is a setting by Android Studio. If you have downloaded it, if you are having the latest version, this will happen. So don't click on Control Save after you write an import and not use it. So type MA and you're going to get in the option. It's automatically going to suggest if you're using Android Studio. If you're using Dartpad, you probably will have to type the whole thing. And for as an entry point for any application, as discussed yesterday, it's always a main function. I hope you guys remember this. So let's write the main function. Void main is all and then as this doesn't take any parameters, you're going to open and close braces. And to run the app, to build the app, you have to use the run app function. Run app, and I'm going to put the app name, I'll call it my app. Well, I have not created any widget out of it, so it's just going to put a red line. It says this does not exist. If I hover over it, it's going to say, okay, create this class, because this class is not been created yet. Okay, sure, I'll increase the font size a little bit more. I hope it's fine. Or should I increase it more? Fine. Okay, as I said, this is going to give an error. Now that you have the run app function is also a part of the same material package. So this package is now used, so it's not going to give you any error. But it says there is no class created as my app. So we'll have to create a class. And yes, we are going to create a stateless widget. To create a stateless widget, just type STLESS or just type S, you're going to get it in the suggestions down. What is stateless widget? We'll have it in the second half of the session. We have Aryan who is going to discuss the detail. And just type ST and you're going to get the whole thing. This is a shortcut for creating widgets. Type ST and you're going to get stateless widget, and I'm going to call it my app. As this is a class, I'm going to name this as the same as what I wanted to run. As the main is the entry point for running the application, and when the app begins, I wanted my app to be this class to be called. So that is why I've put it in the run app function. This is a function that takes a class as its parameter. So it takes a function as and this is a constructor, as I've discussed yesterday, the class constructor, and this is this is override function. And Flutter, as discussed earlier, everything works as a widget, and this is a widget that's being created. The context being context of creation. That's what you wanted, and you're creating a container. Container is basically like a vessel, and you put everything in this vessel so that everything will stay together. It's like a package. It's like a packaging. So if I click on run right now, you're going to get a blank app. You're actually building your own app. The same code goes for, you can type the same thing on the dart pad as well. For all those using dart pad, the output shall remain the same. Click on run, it's the output is going to remain the same. Well, there is no output because it's just a container. Um, you'll see more when you go through the changes, but in the actual application you're going to see some changes because the app is running. The first time you run, it's going to take time. Yeah, the key, this part is the constructor part. Don't have to change any of these parameters as of now. Don't worry about this. These are overriding constructors. If you are putting if you're passing out any key in any other widgets that you create, like a custom widget also, you'll have to define the constructors by default for the same. That is why this line is there. You don't have to like delete it or comment it. It's all going to give you error. Just create a widget by default. However it comes out, just keep it, because these are not the parts that you are going to like change when you are a beginner, especially. Ignore these warnings. These are by my Android Studio. These warnings won't be coming in yours. As you have installed the latest version, I have done I've kept it in a previous version for some reason. It's totally different out of context for this. If you're getting errors while building, do let me know. Like if you click on run and you're going to get some error and the app terminates, then sometimes there could be a Gradle failure or something else. If you are getting any other error, then do let me know. Let's build it for the first time. The first time you run the app, it's going to take a time for building. It's because it's consolidating all of the other settings, and accordingly it's building. And next time you click save, it's going to show the output in the like real-time syncing type, like the hot reload feature. Creating new project, we'll take it at the end during Q&A, as I said. In that I'm getting errors. Can I know what is the error, Mansi? Okay, you'll have to open and close a curly brace out here. Right. If you remove this, you're going to get that error. Just type my app followed by opening and curling braces. We'll take up the questions. Installs. It's insufficient storage, then probably it's a storage issue with your phone. Okay, so if the name parameter key isn't defined, then probably you're having issues with the imports. It's some issue with the installation. Do try Flutter clean. It's just this command is just for Mansi. Try Flutter clean in your terminal and then try rebuilding it. Just type this in your terminal.
Sumit, did you delete the const keyword in front of this constructor? Because that will create an error. Put it back. The const constructor has to be there because by default they are const constructors. If you have to remove them, then you have to remove the final keywords in front of the parameters that you define. So put it there.
Okay, so this is what you get by default, and this is just a blank black screen. And for those who are running on that pad, also it's just going to store no output because now you have not changed anything. You have just created a container, empty bag. So let's put something instead of container. Let's create a material app according to design principle. What I said. Let's create a material app, and yeah, material app can take a lot of parameters. Let's give some, there's something called home. That's like a home page, and let's return a scaffold. Okay, so this scaffold is an interesting word. What do you think is a scaffold? Consider it like a Cadbury celebration that you must have all heard. It comes with a dairy milk, gems, and a 5 star, and everyone loves it because it's a complete package. The same thing, just comparing scaffold with that, you get all things that you need when creating an app. Like it comes with a body, it comes with a bottom app bar, it comes with a drawer, it comes with a top app, like an app bar with a title. So you can all define it so that you can get the basic structure of your application even before writing, even before implementing any of the functionalities. So most of the apps built on Flutter use scaffold as its parent widget. So if you are while typing scaffold, you can give parameters such as app bar. And yeah, I'm going to app bar takes app bar is like I said yesterday, in a class it takes the name of the parameter followed by the type that you're calling the app bar class here. Everything is a widget, and app bar is also a widget in Flutter. This is how you call any other widget. Clicking on Control S, you're going to get your scaffold app with an app bar on top. App bar is the top part of the app, and as you can see there is something like the time part is covering the app bar, and you have the over, these things are overlapping. So to avoid that, we have a widget that's called safe area. So when you click on a widget, you get a small side yellow bulb on the left side. You can click on that and you can wrap it with a widget, and I call it safe area. Safe area is where your actual app begins. So if you click on save, you can see that the actual app begins here. The none of the top toolbars or whatever was there on the top is no longer overlapping. So that's the reason why we use the safe area. Now we have an app bar, and now we don't have a body. So let's create a body. And for body, let's retain a container. Safe area is that to create safe area. Safe area is something like you, as you can see in when you create a default scaffold, the top part of the app, the all the time, the tower, the Wi-Fi signal, everything is overlapping. And to avoid this, and if you put some content in the app bar also, it might get overlapped in here. So to avoid that, we wrap it with a safe area. Safe area is something like okay, you're safe to use this much area in your application. Click on the left side bulb icon that's there. Click on wrap it with a widget and type in safe area. In the scaffold now, let's create a body. Body is the main part of the application, the large part of the application wherever you want. Now it takes some widget for itself. So let's retain a container. Container is very similar to the English word container. Okay, it will contain anything inside it. Now if we want to give it a color, we can, it has a lot of parameters as you can see here. You can give an alignment, you can give padding, you can give color, you can give decoration, foreground decoration, width, height, box constraints, transform alignment a child, yes, it will need a child, and clip behavior or anything that you want. These are all default. Some of the default properties are being already handled, and as I said, the constructor gives some default value. The same way the app bar class has some default value. The color of the app bar being blue. So if you want to change the color, you can change it as a color parameter. Click on enter, type on background color, you'll get the color option. For the colors are there in the colors class. Colors dot, pick a color of any choice. Suppose I chose red, and the is going to reflect. To remove the debug banner that's being shown here in the material app, about the safe area, you can type show debug banner, debug show check banner, make it a false. That will remove the debug banner out of your screen so that your app looks more tidy. And other than this container, and that's your body that you've put, and this container is nowhere visible because we have not provided any properties for the container. So firstly, let's give it a child. A child is basically what goes inside any widget. I mean, like it's like a sub widget. And make sure to keep putting commas wherever you are not finding commas, because that gives proper formatting for the application. As in a container, I'm going to return a child. And yeah, before doing the child, let's call a card. Let's give it a height and width first before we start giving a child. Give this a height of maybe 100 pixels and a width of 100 pixels. And I see, because the background color and the color of the container remains the same, so it's not visible. So like if I give it a color, this container shall be visible. But as you see, it's situated somewhere in the top of 100 into 100, a square, and you're not liking it in the place. So to avoid, if you want it in the center, what you can do is click on the widget, the yellow bulb again, you can click on wrap it with center. This will just put the container in the center of the parent widget. So I mean the parent property more like, so it puts it in the center of the body. And now if you give this a child, okay, let me increase this to be something like 400 by 400 so that it's at least big. See how big it is. It's taking more than half of the size, more than half of the size of the body. It's still fine. Now if I give it a child, a card. These are some of the widgets that take a single child. Container is take single child as its only widgets that return single child for its property. But if you want a row and column, we should enclose this with something that takes multiple children for as its properties. We'll discuss this later on. A card is basically a widget. Anything that you see normally in a UI that is elevated and that has some beautiful decoration on it uses a card. So let's give this, let's take the height. As you have put a card inside, this card is visible, and the card also being the color white, so you're not liking the color, so let's change it to colors dot yellow maybe. Now you can probably see the card. Yeah, you can give colors in RGB, hex values, everything, all formats are accepted in Flutter. And these are container and card, all these take only one child as it's in the widget tree. You can find the widget tree if you in Android Studio. These are some of the things that are exclusive to Android Studio. I'm not sure whether they are there in with VS Code as well. There's something called Flutter Inspector, and if you click On Flutter performance, you can see how much frames per second is it rendering, how much memory it's using. All these things can be seen in the right hand of if you're using Android Studio. If you're using VS Code, I'm not sure where it is. This is the Flutter inspector. So if you put something in your Flutter app and it's rendering out, if it goes out of bound and it gives you some sort of error, I'll show it when you're demonstrating columns. That's when this will come to use. You can find out which widget is overflowing and you can adjust your coding styles accordingly. Now that I'll take this container off, the color of the container off. Now you can see your card, and now you see this card. If you are running it on your device, it's slightly over the main body. That's because it has some property called elevation, and if you click on elevation, you can give any value to it, and you can see it comes a little more out of the screen. So this showing one of the property that the card has. These are some of the exclusive property, and you can go through the widget catalog of Flutter to know more about all these widgets. I'm just demonstrating a few of them on the screen so that you get to understand what are how to edit things, how to add properties onto the children, etc. If you click on inspect and you choose some widget out here, and it's going to show in the layout explorer as how much part of the screen it's taking, how what is the height, what is the width. All these will be shown in the Flutter inspector. Yes, you can if you want to place an image, well, I'll show you that also. I'll just turn this inspector off. Don't mind about the inspector. If you want to place an image, as a container takes only one child as its property, so you can only put one child. But if you want to put multiple child, you should probably use a column or a row. I'll show that, and I'll okay. I'm going to put a column. You can all these things are available when you click on the bulb. You are going to get the center, column, container, padding, rows, sized boxes, etc. Column is like it takes multiple children one below the other. So that's why the column comes to use. Now as you see, this column has just vanished because we didn't provide any height and width to it. The reason being there is no height and width for this. If we take this, let's take this column off and let's first show you the image part. I'm taking this card off. Think for using image, you have the image class, image widget. Click on that. Now you'll have to give it an image. If you're putting image from a network, you can use image.network, and you'll have to provide the where the image is situated. So if I take some image from Google, just type in image. I'm just taking some random image to display. You can click you can get the URL of the image. And to display this, all you need to do is put that in a single quotes within the application, and it's going to show it to you in your app as you see the image from the network. And if you're having it in your asset, you'll have to put the asset in a folder and then call the location of the image from wherever you want it. I got it. And as container takes only one child, so you can only put one child inside a container. But if you want to put multiple things, you should probably enclose it in a row or a column. We take the height and width of the container. Still see the image because it does have a size. It takes the default size of the image that's there. And let's enclose this with a column. column can take multiple children as its properties, and yeah, make a habit of using commas at the end of wherever your widget or string is terminating so that it's easy to format. One of the hack that you'll get especially usable when you're debugging, and you'll come to know that okay, image is ending there, the column is ending here, the container is ending here. So if you're removing a particular widget out of the out of the screen, so you can easily close it and just remove it off. To resize the image, you can give properties in here. You get it all. Now if I'm just demonstrating multiple children, so once we one image we have, and let's give it a text. Text is by text widget, and you'll have to provide a string of that as its a default value, and I'm going to give it a demo as a text. And if I click on save, you're going to get the text that I just put in here. And now instead of doing all this, we can probably create a portfolio app for yourself. That is the most common project. You can put an image, you can give um, your name here, put my or something like that. That's all out of your creativity, that you can build anything out of it. Just make sure to put comma after every closing bracket so that it gets properly formatted. And to style the text, there is something called property called text styles. um, use that, you should use the style property of the text, use the text style widget, and you can style around. You can give size, font size. I'm giving to you as 20. I can give font. I don't have any custom fonts installed, so I'm not giving it. I can give color as so. As you can see, you can style the properties accordingly. To understand what are all the properties, just click on the widget, hover over it, and you'll get all the parameters that you can customize. That is color, the background color. The background color takes a parameter of color. The font size takes a double. The font weight takes a font weight widget. So if it says font, suppose for example, as you saw here in the font weight, it says it takes a font weight as its parameter. So how are you going to do that? Let me just show you. If any widget comes out in that way, all you can do is put capital F. For the property will stay in small and the parameter will stay in capital. You can get the font weight and you can put a dot, after which you'll get the values, like if you want bold, normal, or any other value, whatever you want to choose from. Make sure to put a comma so that it gets properly formatted. Send code. Yeah, we'll be providing GitHub repos for the same. And the same, all these things shall remain same even if you're doing it on that pad. For all those who are doing it on that pad, only thing, the trailing commas etc. will not be there in that pad because it's that pad anyway. It's not you're not running it on a emulator. Yes, you got it image, you got the text. The same thing customized as what you got the output in here. Things, the single children widgets, there are a lot of single children widgets such as container, the card, there are many more. The text is a single child takes a single string as its property. There is a size box that takes single child. There are many other widgets. There is a padding. But if you want multiple children rendered, you can use a column, you can use a row, there is grid, there is list. All these widgets take up the uh, multiple children as its properties. And if you want to align this, that goes on main axis alignment and cross axis alignment. You can read more about it when you start actually experimenting with Flutter. You'll get used to using all these properties. Now I would like to request Aryan to continue with the session on usage of stateless and stateful widgets.
Sure, Mia. So, let, I need the screen sharing rights for that.
Yeah, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Sharanya. So, good evening, everyone. So now that you have read about certain kind of widgets in this, let me take my glasses off because that is creating a reflection. Yeah. So you have read about certain kind of. Good evening, Kirti. So you have read about certain widgets that Sharanya has been talking about for quite a long time, and now it is time to know that you have in your first app you have that stateful and stateless widget. So what is that about? And because you need to dig deeper into it so as to get because you want to be a developer, right, for Flutter, and until unless you understand the basics of it, you cannot grow onto it. So it becomes very necessary to learn all these things. So I hope my screen is visible to you all now, right? Okay. So, let us go with what is stateless and stateful widget. Everyone who has created this project on this Android Studio or even VS Code, you have these things. Let me show you. So, yeah, is the text visible to everyone? Like, is it fine for everyone? Hello. Okay. Okay. You want to make it big? Okay. Wait a second. How about now? Can you? It's okay, right? Okay, so yeah, so let us begin with these stateless and stateful widgets. So this is a counter app that you have got into your that is a default project, and I think you I don't know how many of you have tried to run it. So let us run it and let us see what is happening in this actually. So I'll be using a Visor screen casting software. You can also use it just as to cast your mobile, screen, just to use it as an emulator. If you do not have an emulator in case, or if you have less RAM, so you can go with it. And yeah, so it is running, and soon we'll be seeing an application that is going to be launched here. Okay, so till then, can you tell me what do you understand by state? Just an English meaning, not about this Flutter specifically. What do you understand by state? Like, what according to you is a state? If I talk, my state is this. So what do you mean by that? Yeah, current situation, position, condition. Yeah, yeah. So these all things are kind of synonym to the state. So you all are right in a certain way, and because the developers have made it quite easy to understand, so it is very similar to what you people think about this state. Let the application get launched, and then we'll be going by state. So the default application is something like this. You will be having some, don't get overwhelmed by these files, because sooner or later you will be knowing what each of the file has to serve the purpose into the application. For now, we'll be this is the part when I want you all to create a new application over your Android device or wherever, because Sharanya has deleted all the code, and to understand this, we need to have this this boilerplate kind of code that Flutter offers us, so that you could get this all things on your screen as well. So if you can make a new project entirely, then that would be good, or else you can watch my screen and I'll be summarizing this to you. So okay, so this is the dummy Flutter application that we get from by default. And what is this? This is just a counter. So you are seeing this fab button here, right? When you click it, so this counter starts increasing. You are seeing this, you have pushed the button, how many times this counts onto it. So how does this works and what is the notion behind this? We are going to learn about that, and that is what where stateless and stateful widget come into play. So let us go and first search what is a state. What or just meaning of state meaning. So what it gives, a particular condition that someone or something is in a specific time. It is the exact thing, a kind of exact thing that Flutter has to offer to us. So state could be defined as the properties of a widget at the time of, like, whenever you create the application, there are you create a class, right? Yesterday Sharanya was talking about the class. So you understand, let me take the pen. So you have the class and you have certain functions there, sorry, functions, and you have certain variables into it, right? So it can be A, B, and these functions are just used to calculate onto these variables or to access these variables, right? So in a way, when you create these variables become a state or a property related to this class. Suppose I'm making a calculator, right? And this is a calculator. Sorry for the bad handwriting, but okay, it's a sorry, yeah. We are using a calculator class. Right. Let me write it in all caps. So calculator, right? So we have created a calculator class. So it will be having, let's say it has two variables, var a, var b, and there is a function named sum. Do not go by the syntax. This is just to demonstrate what I do. What do I mean? So this does sum a plus b and it returns something, right? And here we have integer. So this a and b have some purpose for this. These are known as properties. Properties in normal coding languages. You have read in C or C++ or Java. These are called properties, while the function is called a behavior. Same way, this when we talk about the stateful and stateless widget, we differentiate them on the basis of state. These properties, let me shift the screen. Let me type. So these properties become the state of a widget for a specific instance. So at a given time, what are the values of properties is the state of that widget or that application. Now suppose my application is loaded and I have a form that has some specific like name, class, section. So when it gets loaded, it has some initial states. And after that, when we try changing them, so a state gets changed. Why we require these two kind of widget and why we have broadly classified these widget as two kind of widgets, stateful and stateless, because when you move with a stateless widget, there is a concept of rendering in every Android application or in web as well. So rendering helps when we think about rendering, then stateless and stateful also come into play, because when there is a stateless widget, so that is when it is rendered, so changes are not reflected. And when there is a stateful widget, so when you change the variable, if I change this a and b, and I have this screen also on the mobile application that is showing the value of a and b. So suppose initial value is 0 and 0 for a, and after a time I change it to 1 and change it to 1. So if it is a stateless widget, this, and here it is showing a is equals to 0 and 0. So after I change it in a stateless widget, it won't be showing that it has changed to 1. But in a stateful widget, you will be shown with this change if you want it. Even if you want any stateless widget to show this, you cannot show it. But a stateful widget gives you an advantage, or you can say it is a benefit of using stateful widget, that any changes that you make to its property, you can reflect back onto the UI. So when you re-render it, that's where the re-render and render comes into play. So when you re-render it, you will be seeing a difference in the value of a, that before it was 0, now it has become to 1. That is what we are observing in this application when you're clicking this button. So this is stateful widget. If you see the dummy code that has been provided by Flutter, so this is a stateful widget, and when you are pressing this plus, so this is getting changed 22, 23, 24. If it was stateless widget, then this change won't have been shown onto the screen, because that couldn't be re-rendered at each press of this fab button or floating action button. Just leave it to a button, because that will create more complexity. You will be thinking, what is floating action button? So let us move and let us do some coding stuff before we can actually understand what is this stateful and stateless widget. So are there any kind of yeah, okay, so yeah, so Kirti, Prasanna, it is dynamic. Yeah, it is a kind of dynamic. When you change the things, so it gets reflected in stateful, but in stateless it doesn't. So we will be seeing it, of course. Just let me get back to the code. So this is a boilerplate code that we can definitely remove. So these are just comments that are offered by Flutter, and you need not to worry about it. We will be keeping this, just removing all the code in the bottom. Yeah. So this, for now, it says when you'll be deleting it, so it will be saying my home page, that same error that Sharani got. We do not have this class defined. So we will be defining a class named stateless first, and press enter and just give the name as my home page. And that error would be gone. And why this title? Because we do not have any defined property named title here. Like there is no variable into this class that has name as title. So that would, you can remove this all. So when you remove all these things, then you will be having some code or a boilerplate like this. We have just created this my home page, and everything on the top remains same. The main function that will run your app, the entry point of your application, and all the certain things that have been added to this. We will be discussing it soon. This primary swatch blue is the color that you have got here. This is blue color. You can change it to any color like purple as well. So that will change to purple, but for now I'm not changing it because it will require me to re-render it. Yeah, so let us move with the stateless widget. So we will be creating a small single field form, and we'll be discussing what is the difference that is going to be there. So as Sharanya has already used scaffold, so I'll be going with scaffold widget. Yeah, so scaffold widget, it has some properties like app bar. So we'll be giving an app bar, an app bar constructor would be calling, and then a body. So there would be a body that goes like below the app bar, and here we will be using a container. Okay, so that container is basically that will be wrapping our all stuffs into it. Let's see what we can put into it. So there is a child. We have a tree kind of organization in Flutter. So we have parent widget, then it's child. So it is in a tree format. So for people who are using VS Code, they can check it there. But in Android Studio, there is, I guess, no facility to check it. Yeah. So for child, I'll put there just a text field. Yeah. So what is text field? Whenever you have you always fill form onto the Google or on any application when you log into it or when you sign up for it. So there are certain things where you can enter your personal details. So that is named as text field in Flutter. And now let us put something called if we want to put decoration, because if you do not have a decoration, you won't be actually like it won't be shown up, just like there will be a blank screen and just a line. So I would like to show you some properties here as well. So input decoration we will be using as class. As we know that this text field is going to take input, so this comes as a thought that input decoration should be its decoration. So you'll be using input decoration. So there are some parameters to it, like we can have hint. You have seen the forms where there is an entry and there it is written what you actually have to fill it there. So that is named as hint text, and I can put it like username, right? Username. And if I open my screen back, and it won't be like I will have to run it again because it shows some. So until it is running, this is just a container that contains a text field where you can enter your thing. And now, yeah, so it is there on my screen. Just a second. I don't know why it is lagging. Yeah. So you can see this thing, right? This is username, and here I can enter Aryan Nigam. Okay. So Aryan Nigam. So this is something that you can do here. A more so I guess you are up till here, and we are going to move forward. So we can put some padding as well, because like some people have this confusion what is padding and margin as well. So let me discuss that as well. So this is, if this is your widget and this is your inner widget, sorry for the bad drawing as well. So this is your inner widget. So the difference between this and this is margin of this widget. Like it is A and it is B. So this is margin, and the content of this that takes itself with its own boundaries is padding. So when you talk about with your own boundaries, it is padding, and when you talk with respect to your parents' boundary, it's margin. Yeah, so we'll be putting some margin, because you are seeing that this has gone stuck to both the ends, so we'll and to the top as well. So we'll be putting something into it so that it gets at its place. So if padding, and then we'll be using edge insets class. So this class helps us to put some values into it. So dot, and then you see these options, all symmetric from LTRB, that is left, top, right, and bottom. Symmetric is for X and Y axis, and for all. So we'll be using from all sides how much padding we want. We want 10 pixels of padding. So if I get into my application and I okay. Oh, okay. So let me rerun this. So when we hot reload it, so restart it. Sorry, yeah, reload it. So we have got you can see this there. We have some boundaries here. So yeah. So this is the thing that padding brings to the application. So it gives you space from all the sides, and there are many all symmetric and LTRB you can use as per your use. So now I will be defining a member of this class, right? So let us define a member named as late string. I hope you people know about late. It is talked, I guess, in the previous session. So we'll be putting it username. And yesterday, many of the people were asking how can we declare private member. So just put so just put a username underscore before your variable, and that becomes a private variable, and that could not be accessed out of this class. Now you'll be seeing an error here. Why this error comes? If you have a constant constructor, then this is mandatory to have final variable. So you have to declare it, either you declare it final or remove this const keyword in front of it. So when you'll be removing it, you won't be getting any error. Now let us do one thing. So text field has a function on changed. So on changed, as you can see, when I'm putting my name, so each time I'm putting my name like Aryan, so each time the character is changing. So to grab that event, so this is an event basically on change. So to grab that event, we use an on change property of text field, and that takes a lambda function kind of thing. And yeah, so here you have to put like when the value changes, then what you want to do. So suppose I want my username to be and one more thing, why it is still showing error, because whenever you type, you are putting some value into it. So there has to be a value, right? Whenever you are typing in your name, like I'm typing this, so this is a value. So this on changed event or method takes a value, whatever is in your edit or the text field, give me that. So that comes from value. Now when you get it, you put it equal to value, fine, and use a semicolon. So before that, we will be performing a print statement of value, that what value we have got. And after that, we will performing a print statement on username. So we will be printing username. And where you can see it, just I'll be telling it when I will be running it. So for now, you just have to understand that we have a text field that has an on change method. It is an event that is triggered whenever you change the value of the text field. Whenever you start typing, this gets triggered, and this all the code inside this function starts executing, and the value is just just the current value into your text field. So let us run this. And what is the error here? Where is error? Constructive is it okay? So yeah, there would be an error here because we have removed const from here, so you have to remove const from here as well, and that would be perfectly fine for this application. Okay, so I need to start it again. You can see here. So yeah, so this has changed. Like the new screen is visible now. Now if I type rent and I go to this toolkit, I'm sorry, not here. Just a second. Run. Just let me disconnect and reconnect my device. Okay, so like just showing no devices found. Okay, so it started running. Just a moment, it will be visible to you on your screen. Like I have this one, I'll close it. Until then, let me see if there are any doubts with the people. Okay. How it was suggesting text, that is just a property of your Google keyboard. You do not have to do anything with that. It will already like automatically give you the suggestions. So you do not need to worry about that, how it is giving the suggestions and all. Okay. So yeah, it is there. Now if I change, like I type Aryan, so you are seeing this thing, it is getting AA, then I type R. So first what it is printing the value, and then after that it is printing the username, right? And now if I put before this, I will, you just have used column, right? Yeah, so let me wrap it into a column. And let us bring a one more field that is text only, and we will be putting, yesterday Sharanya has given you a brief about the string interpolation, so we will be using username here. So what this text field would be showing us, it will be showing what is the current username. And let me rerun it and show you the screen. Okay, what is this? Has not been initialized. Okay, yeah, sorry. So you need to put some brackets, the value here. Yeah, so okay. Let us take high as the first thing, because until that you won't be able to see what is onto the screen. So here you can see there is a high onto the top of it. And then we are saying that the text, the content inside the text has to be the username. So for now it is hi, and here we are changing it. Username is equals to value. So whatever we will be typing should be there in place of hi, because the value will be changed for username. And here we are saying that text has to be username. And here we said that username is equals to value. So whatever you type, that has gone into value, and then value has been copied to the username. So now if I type Aryan, can you see any change? Though here you are seeing a change that AR, and the ARY, and all those things are followed by the onChange function. The onChange method is triggering perfectly fine. It knows that the value has been changed and what value has been changed. But you are not seeing any change in the high part. Why is it so? So it is because the widget that you have made is a stateless widget. And I told that when you create a stateless widget, the variable, even if they get changed, they won't be re-rendered onto the screen. So probably our things are fine. We have changed the value of username, but this widget needs to be informed that, hey, your username has been changed, kindly re-render it onto your screen. So that part of work is done by stateful widget, and we will be doing what? We will be clicking on this stateless widget, and then we'll be going here, and here comes a magic option that asks us to convert it into a stateful widget. Now, when we click it, it will automatically split into two classes. Now, first will be a class. Now, previously we have, here is a stateless widget, right? And now when I do it, convert, see it very like, be concentrated here. So a stateful widget, there is one stateful widget, this extend, and then there is a state class as well, right? So in a stateful widget, it is non-mutable. Like here, anything you declare won't also be re-rendered. But this state thing, whatever comes here, this will be re-rendered to your screen. And even when you are making the changes, this will be made to the screen. Here is a create state function. So what it does is it asks that the previously we were coding into directly into the build method, right? Now here we have split it into two parts. First maintains just the outlining of your widget, and the second maintains everything about your widget. So the functions and all those designs that you are going to make in this my home page state, and this is exclusively private for this class, my home page. So this state could only be accessed by this, and this create state just gets an instance of this class for its use. So now we have same code. I haven't changed anything in code. I've just transformed the stateless widget to a stateful widget. And when I'll be now, still you will be seeing there would be no change. Now if I reload it, and yeah, so even if I make it like Raman, so it is not making a change here, right? So there is no change. So you would be feeling like you just said that in a stateful widget it is displayed onto the screen and it is re-rendered and it's still not showing. So what's the case? So the case is we use a special function that is provided exclusively by this stateful widget class. Here we have extended, and the people who have who have read about Java and know about inheritance. So this stateful widget gives us a method that is set state. So you have changed it here, right? This on change has just locally changed the username variable. Now there has to be a person who needs to tell the build function, hey, your things are changed. Now you need to rebuild the things as well inside you. So there we use a set state method. What is this? Set state just basically does what? Whatever changes you have made here, it will just force this build method to re-render it onto the screen. So let me use this set state. So you can see, even if you try doing it in stateless widget, this method won't show up. So here it shows up. And now, since we have to set the state, I told you that this is a state, this is a property of a class. So property, state, all are synonyms, and we are going to put it into this set state method. Okay. So this set state method will do what? Whenever you'll be changing it, so it will come into this, it will print the value, and it will change the value, and it will notify your build method that, okay, your value is changed, now you changed. So let's rerun it and see what's the difference here. So yeah, okay, so it has come. Okay, so if I put Aryan, right, Nigan, so it is Aryan Nigan. So you can see that there has been a constant change into this, and that is because of this set state method. If you cut it from here and you put it here, then also it will work, because set state just notifies to rebuild. Even if you put it inside it, you can put as many variables as you want into it. And if you want, like there are three, four members onto your class here, three, four states, username, password, and all those things. So you can put it there, and after changing every value, you have to put set state. So it has to come as a last part when you have made all the changes. Just call set state to build that onto the screen. So now you can see the difference that I have RN and everything I'm typing is coming into the text, because it is telling the build method, kindly update yourself. I have updated myself. You also update yourself, sir. So this was the difference between stateful and stateless widget. And there are some inbuilt things, like you must have seen checkboxes in your forms, and you must have seen like text field we just have talked about. So these all are stateful widgets. By default, they are stateful. And even if you if you want to check something is stateful or stateless, you just press Control and make a click onto it. So if it is a class and so they would you will have to crawl into this hierarchy. Like some widget is inherited from some other, then that is inherited, then that is inherited. So you have to scroll back the hierarchy to check if it is a stateful and a stateless. For now, here it doesn't show. So if you go back here and you have to scroll a lot so as to get even if it is stateful or stateless widget or not. So in this way, we can, like, you must have got a difference between stateful and stateless widget, what it has to play into the Flutter application, when to use what. That is just basically when you want to make changes and that you want to be reflected onto the screen, then use stateful. And when you do not want them to reflect onto the screen, then use stateless. And there is one more concept that is a callback, and it is an advanced topic. But if you want to change the value of a stateful widget with the help of a stateless widget, so a stateless widget can also do that. But in that case, you have to define here a method, and that you need to pass to the stateful widget. So it is just giving, I'm giving you an if I'm, if like my parents are there and they are going out for something, so I do not have the access to kitchen. So even if I want to cook something, so they will have to give me that key. So if I want to make the changes into my stateful widget, then I need to get this callback function that is its own function, like stateful widgets function that is passed to the stateful widget. And whenever I want to make change, I implement that. So I run that, and there will be the changes would be reflected. So that is advanced topic. We won't be talking about it, I guess, in this session. But I hope you got an insight about what is stateless and stateful and when to use what. And obviously, this all comes by practice. There is nothing that could be taught in a day. But when you'll be practicing it, you will be finding some some scenarios where you can use this and that. And then we can discuss more about it, and you can reach out for any help. So that was all about stateful and stateless widget. I guess it is, let me take the Raman's question. What is same concept? Yeah, so Dart is basically on JavaScript only. The Dart has been made from JavaScript only, though it runs on C++ engine. So yeah, but there is we are using functional component, then there we use state as a hook, whereas so I do not have an idea about hooks like that is in React, I guess. But in Flutter we have set state, and we also have state management tools like getX and all those things. So that is also an advanced topic. So Sharanya, is it done or?
Yeah, we are done for what we were planning to teach for the session. There were many people who had issues with installation. I guess we can take up those Q&A right now.
Basically, I would suggest one thing to everyone, that whoever is any online I do not remember an exact example. That is Shubhankar, that you can basically, that is a concept, or that is just a thing that you want to know. Just Google it. You will be knowing that which websites are running currently on Flutter. But for an example, the organization I am working in is Karta Initiative. So its website is on Flutter only. So they have iOS application, Android application, and the web application on Flutter framework. So yeah, I know about my organization, and there are some examples. I cannot give you a link because it is in test mode, and only developers have the option to check it. So that is not possible. If I have intermediate knowledge of Flutter, just wanted to know, should I continue with getX or any other alternative? So you can get with getX, or even if you want to go with Redux, we have Redux in Flutter as well. Or you can go with providers and consumers. That is just on what you like more. Like there is an ease with each of the concepts. Someone likes to do in this way, someone likes to do in other way. So there is no specific way defined for a developer. A developer defines his own way. So you can like search everything, and whichever you find well fitting to your interest, you can go with that. That's fine. And yeah, so I was talking about the people who have downloaded Flutter and there has been some issue. What you do, there are certain kind of, I would be sharing some links definitely for the download purpose, because there are so many custom errors in the installing of Flutter or even the Android Studio. Like when I first downloaded, there was an Intel HAXM error, and that I talked about yesterday. So that would be more good if you try doing it. And if there are some generic issues, then we can go with that. But for entire installation, you can go with, there are many like good, I also did it from YouTube only, like downloaded the Flutter with the help of YouTube. So you can go with that. Yeah, Sumit,
Yeah.
Thank you, Sumit. You have provided some link.
Sorry for interrupting. Aryan, can you stop sharing your screen? Meanwhile, you
Yeah.
can take up the question.
Yeah. Okay. So If you have any serious changes, I will let you know. Yeah. So if anyone has some specific questions, okay. So people were asking what is late. So late is like in other languages, you can put a variable name and like var or int and you can leave it like that. But in Flutter or in Kotlin, you have to define, if you have to like put its value in some later point of time, then you have to tell it that it is going to be defined late. So you have declared it, but its definition would be provided later. So we use keyword late in before the variable name. So the compiler knows that, okay, I do not have to bother about it. So the user will be providing its value anytime in the like in future. So that doesn't throw an error. So that is about late keyword specifically in Flutter, and that is also in Kotlin as late init. So yeah. If we learn JS, then learn Dart, whether it make any difference? No, it doesn't make any difference. Even like I have also learned a very basic of JS in second semester. I guess from LPU people who are must be reading some INT course for web development. So you can go with JS. There is no relation between JS and Dart. And the more you learn, the more languages you know, the better you can gel up with other languages. That is what I want to say. Can we create widget as a module? Yeah,
Wait,
Raman. We can
yeah.
extract a widget as a module.
Sorry for interrupting. I am sharing a JS course by GFG. Let me search that, right? That will be great for you.
Okay.
Yeah, and as for Raman's question that can we create a widget as a module? Yes, we can create as a module, but if you're using custom packages, you should make sure to lock it so that if you're exporting it to other projects, it should not create errors. That is why while creating the project itself, there's an option to create the whole project itself as a module so that everything can come as a package. It's like a different way of using the same thing, but yeah, you can create module, make sure to lock it along with the pubspec.yaml.
If you people have got some specific questions about Flutter and what all is has been taught today, you can put those questions, and we can go with one or two basic kind of errors that people are facing. But I guess you can do it by your own, and if you are facing an issue, you can surely put it. Whenever you are getting an issue, this is like for every developer who is like initiating with the development work or he is very pro, you just copy the error and paste it onto Google, and the first link itself is a Stack Overflow, and like you Flutter communities. mm, I guess someone is using his mic. So Flutter community is not just like a community of 200 or 2,000 people. It is a very big community, and the error you are encountering has already been like encountered by someone else. So when you'll be putting that error onto the Google and you'll be going by Stack Overflow, scroll it down so you can get the latest result because it is ordered by date, and you can get most of the solutions there. So that is I want to say about the error part as well. Project ideas, like for in which year, Ramanjit, you are, like, is it second or third year? Oh, first year you are. Okay, so if you are trying to make some project in Flutter, so do not go by the projects list that is available on internet. Do not go by any list, because and like what I have seen in my interviews, that people have always questioned me about what was your notion or idea behind this project, why you have built this project. And even if it is like I've made some application that is similar to previously existing application, so they have always asked me how is it different from the previously existing application. So even if you have an idea of calculator, you can build a calculator with Flutter. Just make it so unique, or just put an idea behind it that makes it unique in a way that hasn't been into the market till date. So that is the idea for a project. The topic, you can go by any topic. There are numerous topics that are available into the market, but just make it because putting something in resume won't even matter, even if you are making a Google clone. Putting the thing that are unique, putting the way putting them in a way how you thought about those projects, what was your idea behind this project, what you have tackled using that project, that is majorly seen by interviewers and all those things. So it is not by number, it is by quality, what quality you are putting into your projects.
And even if you do want to get started, you can start with for project ideas. You can start by building, like if you learn a concept, make an app, use it in, just make something like your test application, and keep adding whatever concept you have learned into that application. Like today I learned about, say, a new widget, and now you are going to implement that widget in your existing application, make that as a functionality, and keep updating that one app, so that it's not just only for resume. Even I have faced an interview, and this is what I showed. It's like more of that app doesn't have anything much, but the only thing that's there in the app is the concepts that I've learned, that to order. So that the interviewer can understand, okay, this person knows all these concepts, so we can move ahead or whatever we want to do. That's how I use this approach for like creating the app.
Shubhankar, we are not passed out from LPU yet. We are still in LPU and we are third year students. So I guess we are 1 year or even in the same year from like yours. Yeah.
Yep, it seems we have gone quite long, and that's it for the day, I guess. And make sure to RSVP for tomorrow's, because maybe uh, Googler from India team may join for Fireways with Flutter, right? So let's wrap it the session for the day, and thank you all for joining. And don't forget to RSVP for tomorrow's. I'm
And
pasting the
today's
link.
code will also be updated in the same repository, which very shortly we'll do that.
Yep, great. Uh, While let me quickly drop in the link, and yeah. Yep. Then we will be wrapping by 8:40. Okay. Till the time you can leave, you can RSVP, do anything.